Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Tuesday the 30th of September and this video is for educational purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. So let's start with Nvidia that once again was a few pips from testing the previous all-time highs here, and that was what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish fifth times and again rejected. So that is really a crucial level here, as we can see, just around 184.48, 184.50. I think the peak was there at 184.55. So that would be key if it can take it out or not, and close above or not, or will it slide back lower again. So that, keep an eye on that if you are into trading or investing in Nvidia. On the oil market, a Nasdaq 100 higher yesterday, but during the day didn't really do much, but it continued its uptrend and will continue so unless it breaks below this little spike down there at 24,186. Then we could see a correction, and then 24,000 could be key. But we have the 55 moving average coming up here, still positive sentiment, no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels. Pre-market basically unchanged. On the other indices in US, S&P 500, really the same picture here. Open and closed a 0.25% higher, but in intraday really not much to say. However, here on S&P 500 you can see there are divergence on the index, likely indicating trend exhaustion, but again, as long as we stay above 6,550, the trend is bullish trend is intact. Dow Jones also divergence, as you can see, RSI declining, but market has moved a little bit higher with this top and reversal like pattern here, a shooting star like pattern, so maybe a exhaustion mode. But again, we need a close below, and let's just adjust this 45,757. A close below, then we could be in for a correction. Let's remove this one. That one is not interesting anymore. So a little bit stressed on the US market, but still in a bullish trend. And here pre-market also, of course, on the S&P 500 basically unchanged. Moving on to the Asian markets, that Hang Seng is showing some strength again past few days. Still in a bullish trend, higher highs and higher lows. There is divergence, as you can see here, indication of trend exhaustion, but for now, as long as we stay above 26,000, then we are in this bullish trend, and with the all moving averages rising, so I don't expect a bigger downturn anytime soon. If it takes out the peak up there at 27,058, well, then there's potential higher above 27,500. The Nikkei taking still a breather here, looks a little bit toppish. We had this doji here. When was that? That was on the 25th. Could turn around support here at 24,180. 250 in this range here, and there's some support, could set back to that. There is divergence on the RSI. You see RSI declining, market moved higher, so that's a divergence, and that means an imbalance in the market, indicating the strength is not really with the Nikkei at the moment. But if it takes out the peak here at 45,720, especially with a close, well, then there's potential up to 47,000. On the European markets, the EuroStoxx50 closed slightly higher yesterday. Here pre-market, it is slightly lower, but bullish trend on the EuroStoxx50. That cannot be said when we're going to look at DAX in a minute. But RSI positive sentiment, indicating that we could push higher to its all-time highs, 5,568. There is the potential. There's really not, from a technical point of view, anything that should stop it at the moment. Here pre-market, let's have a look at pre-market, a little bit back here, but still a bullish trend intact. The DAX, on the other hand, is struggling, unchanged basically yesterday, rejected at the cloud. Still negative sentiment on the RSI. However, there was divergence down here. You can see RSI rising, market moved lower. So could push higher here, but it needs to, you can see a pre-market actually, it is setting back again. So not really much strength in the German market, to say the least. It is only, I think, the defense stocks that are doing okay. So weakness there. Moving on to the FX market and euro dollar, that bounced off the 786 retracement at 116.48, has bounced off it. If it moves back above 118.20, bullish trend has resumed, and it's not unlikely it will do that, because RSI in a positive sentiment, no divergence, and what you can do, you can draw a trend line here and say, okay, it is currently testing that at the moment. If it closes above that trend line, there's a good chance that it will also push higher here on the actual FX market, and a close back above 60 threshold will also make it push higher and confirm a bullish trend. And that sometimes occurs before the actual price graph is showing that exact same scenario. So keep an eye and draw trend lines on the RSI. It's a good idea. Sterling dollar bounced off the lowest here. It keeps bouncing. Could, if it gets back above the cloud, it could be a sign that it will keep bouncing. But then we have the 55, as you can see, the 100 moving average coming here, kind of putting it on. So it'll be a little bit of struggle. But above 135.30, I would say 135.40, and we can always adjust that. So it gives us a little bit more. I always add a little bit or subtract a little bit. So if it moves above 135.40, then I think we'll see bullish trend resuming. And if it takes out the lows there, of course, well, then we are looking at 132, possibly lower. The euro sterling, a lot of volatility yesterday. Below 87.68, below 87.70, and again here I will just give me a little bit, just add a little bit, because gives you a little bit more security, I would say, because it is the FX market. So our this price on Saxo Trader here could be a little bit different from others, because it is a over-the-counter market. So 87.70, a break above that, then we are likely to see higher levels. And the first warning could be if it takes out the peak from yesterday. On the other hand, if it takes out the lows, well, then we could see a little bit of a setback. But then we have the 55 moving over, coming up here, giving some support. Positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence. Dollar yen, setting back there, setting back. Couldn't follow through and go all the way to 151. We kind of saw that yesterday with the sell-off. Now we are back below 200 moving average, which is weighing on it. I think we'll see it pushing lower. However, we do have positive sentiment on the RSI, but I think the forces are even stronger here. I think we will see it setting back to 147.70, possibly down to 147.20, and the lower rising trend line potentially. We can see the 55 moving average is starting to declining here, and 100 basically flat. So I don't think we will see much upside. But again, keep an eye on if it stays above the cloud and it can get back above 200 moving. Maybe it could, but I'm not too optimistic about that. The euro yen, also correction time. I think we will see it down to 173, which is 38.2 retracement of this uptrend there, and then could bounce again. However, as you can see, there is divergence on the RSI. Market moved higher, but at the RSI declined, so indicated a trend exhaustion. But if it takes out the peak there, then it will continue towards 176, possibly higher. Aussie yen, well, basically this range here between 97.20 and 98.45.50. That's it needs to break out of. Sterling yen, yeah, back below 199 to 15. This 61.8 here, testing the lows there from, I think it will take it out, seems likely to drop to 786 retracement, 198 is 60. Will it bounce from there? Possibly, but key strong support here is around 197.85, where we have the 100 moving average coming up. So it could be something to think about. It could potentially, especially, and what I will do, I think I actually drawn it yesterday. I don't know why I deleted it. So you can see 198.92 to 198.90. If it takes out, well, I think we will see it down here, possibly dipping to the upper part of the cloud. Moving on to Aussie dollar, that bounced from the 61.8 retracement and just above the 100 moving average, has bounced further, and I think it will continue to bounce. As you can see, RSI in a positive sentiment, hasn't closed below 40 threshold, still no divergence, indicating likely higher levels, but it's just a massive correction here. And I think if it moves back above 66.30, then I think we will see it accelerate further towards new highs there. At least the RSI is telling us that could be the likely scenario. However, if it moves back below back below 65.20, that's bullish scenario is demolished, and the bearish move will continue lower. The dollar Canada that reached the 138.2 projection, little bit of setback. I still believe we will see it higher, but possibly up to 140, but the 200 moving average will give it a hard time up there, so I don't think it will get much higher than that if it actually gets that high. If it takes out that spike up there at 139.60, then I think we will see it. But what we can do, we can say, okay, how big of a correction could we see from now on? Well, if I then add, let me add a new one that's much easier. So here we are, there we go. We should see a correction down to 38.2 at 138.70, and then a possibly bounce, and then a move up to the 140 area. But it's not, let's see. RSI is still positive, indicating we could see that bullish scenario play out, but it's not that strong anymore. Sterling Canada, well, spiked above once again the 61.8. That's a little bit sign of weakness, I would say. It couldn't, but there's strong support down here in the area 185.30. I still believe we will see it higher. Positive sentiment on the RSI, slightly divergence, as you can see the RSI value is declining, so we could be range bound here for quite some time. The Euro Swiss above the falling trend line, testing a cloud a couple of times, still below it. And really needs to get back above, but then we have some strong resistance there just below 94. That could be key, and the 200 moving average, so it's not that convincing. However, we are in a positive sentiment. RSI never closed below 40 threshold after closing above 60, so it should bounce further, but it's key strong support down here around 93, so not the most exciting pair at the moment. Dollar Swiss rejected at the falling trend line, could resume downtrend. Still negative sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating we could see just that. So let's see, could slide lower towards 79. 79 will be key. Move below, well then downtrend is back in play and has been confirmed. The dollar index, well, the dollar index at that excuse me, also sliding lower. I think if it moves back below the 32 retracement there at 97.34, well, key support there at 96.84 should be observed. That would be key. A move below there, well, then bearish trend has resumed, and it's really strong forces up here. We see 100 moving average coming down, knocking down. The cloud didn't close above, closed in it, but didn't close above, slide back. And we are below 55 moving, so it seems like we are going to slide lower here, and that level there will be key. Moving on to what's really on fire, and that is metals, and especially gold and silver. So let's revisit the goal that almost hit this morning, early morning in Asia here, hit the 200% projection of this triangle top to bottom here at 38.79 and a half. It reached what? It reached 38. 70, almost 72. So it can still do that. We are still in a bullish trend, but it could be a little bit exhaustion mode. But I also said that last week, and it didn't play out. So, but keep your stops tight if you are entering a long position now. I would be very cautious if it was me. Moving on to silver, that really has been on fire lately. Also, it's not all the way up there to the all-time, not all-time highs, but the 2011, is it 2010 peaks, 2011 peaks is just below $50. It is not unlikely it will reach this, as you can see here on the monthly chart, and this today is the last day of the month. So unless it really retraces a lot, then we have positive sentiment intact, of course, but also no divergence if it closes above this horizontal line here on the monthly. Then there is potential higher. And looking at the weekly chart, looks quite strong too. There's no divergence indicating higher levels, but we are also quite stretched at the moment. But no divergence on daily, weekly, and monthly, indicating medium term to longer term higher levels on silver. Platinum, that was a little bit slow, but then it really took off late last week and following through here to begin the week, spiking to this 161.8 projection at 16.22, and then some really strong move. However, you can see here there's actually divergence here, so a little bit stressed. I think we'll see a little bit of a setback here the next few days. So what I will do, and say, okay, maybe short term we could see some correction, but if silver is continuing higher, well, then we could see the platinum being dragged with it. It's really, where should it move from? Because normally I'm favor, really clear trend like this one here. So I'll start with here thinking, okay, maybe we could see a little bit of a setback to 15.23 and then a bounce and then continue our uptrend. However, if it takes out the peak there at the 16.30, then there is potential higher towards 17. Copper has also been dragged higher, despite the fact, well, it is other factors that are really running the copper prices that I won't go into details with, but 495 is the key resistance here towards out for. It could still try to knock on it, but it is struggling a little bit. I think we could see a little bit of setbacks. 55 still dragging a lower. However, there is a positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, so it should have a go at it. And if it moves above it, well, then there's still the upper part of a cloud here at 514 and a half. That could that could be a resistance. Moving on to the energy market. As we talked about yesterday, WTI Crude is back, so still this range bound here. More or less the same picture on Brent. Yes, it closed above, but it got knocked down again. RSI got rejected at the 60 threshold, so I will call this a false break. Really, it didn't really material much, but if it can get back above the resistance there and the 200 moving average, but it needs RSI to close above 60 threshold for a bullish, establishing a meaningful bullish trend. So still range bound here really for the Brent crude oil. The European nat gas, excuse me, European nat gas actually closed above the falling trend line there, but couldn't really follow through. And 33.44 is really the first obstacle to establish a bullish trend. So we are still caught in this range bound here. So the downside is 31.60. You should think that going into winter and everything that European nat gas will crawl higher, but at the moment it doesn't. So maybe the storages are full at the moment, and there's no sign of a strong or heavy cold winter just yet. So let's see about that. 33.40 key resistance there. US nat gas has bounced and closed above the resistance here at 319 and 320 yesterday. Positive sentiment on the other side. I think we could see it crawling slightly higher towards 330, 36 here in the coming days, but all the moving areas are a little bit dragging on it here. So, but we are in a bullish trend, we're in a bullish scenario. It's just a question how much, maybe even up to the 200 moving average area, just around 346, 350. On the interest and the yield side, US 10-year Treasury yields almost touched 420 and then sat back. So I have added Fibonacci to this. If we're moving back below 409, well, downtrend is likely to resume with sliding back to 4%. Will we get down there? I'm not quite sure, but if our side closes back below 40%, then there's a good chance that that will play out. I move above 420, well, then there's room up to around the 430 area. On the European yields, and let's just jump to them. There we are. Setting back here the past few days. Just around 61.8 retracement at 269. As we can see, couldn't get all the way up there, which we should be happy about here in Europe, and we are. That interest rate are not that high at the moment, so we could still slide back lower, possibly down to 266. However, we can see the lows here are higher and higher and higher. So it's not until we take out the lows here at 263 and that we have established maybe a bearish trend. UK, well, just hovering around the 470 and 475. Still bullish trend, but it is fragile. Move below 459 and then we are into bearish. In Japan, not really much to talk about. Medium-term bullish trends, but for now it is basically just sideways trading, and needs to take out the peak there to continue. Finally, on crypto, and which has bounced, so I will remove this one. It's still the key support down there at 107,260. So let's see if we can get any idea. We are currently around the 61.8 retracement, 114,470. Setting back a little bit, could slide lower here. So let's see about that. But if it takes out the little peak today, then I think we'll see it pushing higher towards 116,000, possibly all the way up to 118. But could be range bound a little bit here for quite some time. Ethereum, well, bounced there and remove this one. It's a bit obsolete now. We are actually in a bearish trend, but it has bounced to the 38.2 retracement. If it takes out the lows there at 38.25, then we are looking at 3,400. All right, that's all for today. And be careful out there. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.